just to review how to graph lines. Okay, I think after I show you this, it's going to come back to you. All right, so the first thing we want to graph is x equals 4. Now, most of you notice that when we have x equals a number or y equals a number, we have a graph that goes either straight up and down or left and right. But we oftentimes forget which does which. So I'm going to show you a way that I remember it, and hopefully it'll help you remember too. Okay, so if I pick just 3 coordinates, now remember we only need 2 points and that would create a line, but let's pick 3 points, okay? So here's a point, here's a point, and here's a point. Okay, so notice our equation is x equals 4. So I'm going to let the x coordinate of each of these be 4, just like it says. Okay, and then I can make the y coordinate whatever I want. So let's just say 1's 0, 1's 1, and 1's -3. Why not? Okay, now if I go and I graph these 3 coordinates, and notice all 3 of these coordinates have the x value at 4, okay, my 4, 0 is going to be here, my 4, 1 is going to be here, and my 4, -3 is going to be right there. So if I connect these to make a line, we will see that this line goes straight up and down. So any graph that has x equals a number, it will always be a vertical line. All right, now most of you are saying, well, if x is a vertical line, y must be horizontal, and you're correct, but we're going to go through the same scenario here. So once again, any 3 points, okay, and you only have to do 2, but this time we want the y coordinate or the y value to be -2, comma, comma, comma. Okay, and we can pick whatever we want the x value to be. So let's just say 0 is always an easy one. Let's say this is 3 and this is -5. Why not? Okay, so 0, -2 would be right here. Okay, 3, -2 would be right here, and -5, -2 would be right here. And so if I connect those dots, hopefully you can draw a straight line better than I can. Let me try that again. That's a little better. It'll be a straight horizontal line. All right, now this equation here is in what we call slope-intercept form. Okay, and that is y equals mx plus b. And I know you remember that phrase. You may not remember what it means, but you have to remember y equals mx plus b. Okay, so anytime we have it, y equals mx plus b, our m is going to be our slope. Okay, now remember our slope is rise over run, or the top number tells us if we're going up or down and how much. The bottom number tells us if we're going left or right and how much. Okay, and then the b is going to be our y-intercept, or where it crosses the y-axis. Okay, so in this case, -2 is our b. Okay, so that means our y-intercept is at 2. Okay, that means it crosses this y-axis at -2. That's what that means. Okay, and now 7/2 is our slope, or our m if you want to call it. Okay, so slope is 7/2. So this tells me, the 7 tells me I'm going to go up 7. If it was negative, I would go down 7. And the 2 tells me I'm going to go right 2. Okay, so from the x-intercept, I'm going to travel up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and write 1, 2 to get this point. And that is all we need to draw a line. And once again, pardon me, this is the best I can do. It's going to look something like that. Please make sure your line is a little straighter and accurate, and a little more accurate than mine. All right, let's look at this. Now, this is in standard form, which is not nearly as helpful. Okay, which is ax plus by equals c. Okay, so we can do this one of 2 ways. Okay, the first way we can do is we can change this into slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. Okay, so if I go through the motions of doing that, I start with 10x minus 3y equals -15. Okay, and I want to basically set it equal to y. So I'm going to subtract 10x, subtract 10x. So I get -3y equals -10x minus 15. Okay, and then to get y by itself, I'm going to divide by -3, divide by -3, so I get y equals -10x minus 15 over -3. Okay, now remember, we can actually split this up, so y equals -10x over -3 plus -15 over -3. And then we can look at these kind of separately. So if we go one step further, y equals a negative over negative is positive, so 10³ x, and a -15 over -3 is just a positive 5. Okay, so now it's in y equals mx plus b form. Okay, so this is my y-intercept, so I'm going to cross the y-axis at 5, and my slope is 10 over 3. So this tells me I'm going to go up 10 and right 3. Okay, well, if I go up 10 and right 3, I'm going to go off this graph. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get creative, and I'm going to go, rather than going up 3 and right 3, I'm going to go down 3 and left 3. And that's because this and this are the same thing. That's why I can do that. Okay, so I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and left 1, 2, 3. And so if I connect these two dots, it's going to be something. Ooh, missed that mark a little bit. Guys, I'm drawing on a slate, and it's hard to draw a straight line. It's going to be something like that. Okay, make it a straight line though, please. All right, another way you could do this is by just plugging in. So plugging into formula to find 2 points. Okay. Now the easiest way to do this is to do the x and the y-intercept. You don't have to. You can find any 2 points, but it's easier because we get some things cancel out. Okay. So to find the x-intercept, okay, all we have to do is make our y value equal to 0. Okay, so it'd have 10x minus 3 times 0 equals -15. Well, that just goes away, so we get 10x equals -15. Divide both sides by 10. You get x is -15 over 10 is -3 over 2. Okay, so that tells me that when my y is 0, my x is -3/2, so -3/2, 0 is a point on the graph. Okay, so that'd be right around here. All right, so let's do the other one. Now let's do the y-intercept. So we find our y-intercept, we just flipped them, and that's when our x is equal to 0. Okay, so 10 times 0 minus 3y equals -15. Well, this is just 0. So I get -3y equals -15. And when I divide both sides by -3, I get y equals, well, -15 over -3 is a positive 5. Okay, so that tells me that when my x is 0, my y is 5. So 0, 5 must also be a coordinate, which is right here. So notice, guys, if this was a straight line, okay, this would have went through these 2 points. It would have continued on. Hey, that's a lot better line than the first one. Okay, so they are the same line. So whichever way you're more comfortable with, please do it.